Now, heading towards our next speaker, who some of you have met on day one in our workshops, Yani Lozanov. He lives where UX and AI collide. He's the founder and CEO of Etera Technologies, working with companies that use artificial intelligence not as a buzzword, but as a real business tool. In his talk, he will share with us how designing for AI-powered products is different from traditional UX, how to build trust, transparency, and user control, and point out where AI UX can go wrong. Yani, the stage is yours.
So, 1, 2, 3, okay. So, hello everyone. I'm Yani, and what I do is AI. Actually, nowadays, everything related to AI. By the way, the new ChatGPT just came out, 5.1, latest news. And what we are going to talk today about how the traditional software and how the traditional UX differs from the UX related to AI-centric applications. As Dimitri said previously, yes, a very large percent of the AI projects actually fail, more than 85%. But because of the two reasons, not because of technical reasons, but business reason. The AIs just do not meet the business needs at the end of the day. And the second reason is because the users, how the users interact with those AIs. By the way, the whole presentation is generated by AI, so yeah, you can see what today's AIs are capable of. And it is just a simple example of this presentation, but there are like more sophisticated systems that are already using by hundreds of millions of people. And we should care about the AI user experience because now we will see how it differs and that we already don't need just to think and just to learn some new rules about the AI-centric applications, but we have to change our mindset. We already should think for completely different things, and there is almost no overlap between the standard UX and UX for AI-centric applications. But let me show you first why it is important to care about. Because today, if AI gets something wrong, it isn't just about the bad experience, but it could be dangerous in terms of law. For example, here is a company that sells tickets for traveling, Air Canada, and their chatbot assistant on their website just lied to a user that there is a policy about retrieving some money back when you spend on a couple of tickets and so on. And after that, when the user bought the ticket and returned from its travel, and asked for the money back, and the customer support just told him, sorry, but this policy doesn't exist. And what happened? The AI just hallucinated those policies. And at the end of the day, the company tried to blame on AI. Okay, it's not our fault and so on, but the law doesn't care. You built the AI, so you're responsible. One more example is about lawyers that tried with AI to find very similar cases to their own. And AI just hallucinated like 5 different cases that were so perfect that they thought, okay, that should be probably true. And then they were fine because the court found out that those cases just do not exist. So, but what have changed? UX principles didn't change. As you can see, in the previous lectures told us and shown us, everything is the same. The UX principles are the same. The needs of the users are the same. They want to do their job interacting with our apps and systems. But what has changed is the system itself. Already we are working not with very predictable system where when we click a single button, we always get the same result. But we already work with unpredictable system where each time when we input some information, we always get a different response. That is very crucial and very, very important you to understand. Okay, first, how many of you have already worked on some AI-centric applications? Yeah, okay. I expect next year every one of you to raise the hand because right now almost every app has some kind of AI functionalities. And by the way, disclaimer, today talking about AI, I mean large language models. But you should keep in mind that those LLMs are just a very tiny percentage from the AI world. Keep it in mind because sometimes you should design for other systems like predictive analytics, clustering, and so on and so on. But let's focus on LLMs because they are most popular nowadays. Okay, but what is the challenge? The LLM applications centric applications have several problems and challenges. Here are three of them. Uncertainty. As I said, we are not sure when we input what will come out. And you know, there are hallucinations and so on and so on. And this should be in the core of your thinking. You cannot predict how AI would behave. More, in standard UX, we can predict, okay, what will happen in this case, and we will create something like this, and we will try to prevent the error. Here, we already work with a system that 100% will fail, and we should not try to avoid the failure, but we should accept it and prepare for it. That is the main goal here when we talk about AI applications. How many of you have heard about AI agents? Yeah, of course. The AI agents are even more unpredictable. Why? Because they don't just answer questions, but they already can take actions. And now, their tools that they can use could be almost infinity. Number of different types, sizes, actions, etc. So we shouldn't just predict how the chatbot should answer right now. That is fairly easy. But right now we should predict and we should prepare for different actions and combination of these actions. So, as you can see, that gets already too unpredictable. And of course, human-AI relationship, the most important thing. Right now, you can forget everything else from this presentation, but you should keep in mind that when it comes to interaction with AI, it's not about how good I'm going to do my job, how easy it's going to be using this application, but it is about the trust. We are aiming for the trust to the user. If the user will trust the AI. And that is the most important, human-AI relation. Why? Because AI is very similar to us. We can already have a connection with AI. We cannot really connect emotionally to Excel or Photoshop or PowerPoint, but we already can create connections with AI. So that is very dangerous. Of course, done right, and you will get extremely good results. But it is very fragile. So you should keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about 4 shifts. The first shift, as I said, is from predictable to probabilistic. So if you try to think of every single possible way of how AI can react and output something, probably the universe will end before you are done with every single possibility. Why? Because we are not going to go into the math, but in the neurons of the AIs are billions and billions of parameters, and each parameter could change the output. So it is completely unpredictable system. Of course, you should try your best to predict the worst outcomes and prevent them. For example, your AI to, my best example is using Baguette GPT, where it just spits out the recipe for drugs and so on. So that is something, for example, that you can probably predict and prevent. But yeah, you should be always prepared for uncertainty. So that you should keep it in mind. Here, for example, you cannot guarantee the exact result. You cannot treat it and test it like the traditional way, because you can test the AI system hundreds of times, and when the user gets it, it could be 100 times completely wrong. So keep it in mind. And as I said, you cannot document every single possibility of the outcome of the AI's actions. As I said, the shift number 2 is trust. Your goal is not to make it work perfect and to be more usable already. Your goal here is to make it trustful. The user to trust to AI. Right now, the biggest problem is that the users do not trust AI. That is very, very important. If AI gets something wrong at least once, and it is not handled right, you lose the trust and the user could never use your system again. That is fundamental. You are aiming for trust already, not for usability. In the world of AI, the easiest part is to make AI work, and work somehow correctly and so on. The hardest part is to make AI to work so the users can trust it. It shouldn't be perfect. AI is not perfect. Accuracy like 100% doesn't exist, but you should handle it right. So here is an example. AI is accurate, it gives you the correct diagnosis, but it doesn't explain you why you have this diagnosis. And the user said, okay, it could be probably wrong. So the user could lose the trust even if our system is 100% accurate. So your AI should explain at least to the user why it takes those actions. If AI doesn't know something, AI should admit it and say to the user, sorry, I'm not sure, I don't know. AI should not always try to be perfect and to be right, but to say when it's uncertain, to provide different options even, if possible. To work with ranges, not with exact numbers. Just the user to think, okay, AI admits that it isn't 100% right and so on. But if your AI makes so hard statements like, this is the truth, and the user is now challenged to deny or confirm, and if the user denies this and said, no, that is not the truth, and the AI said it is, then the trust is gone. And the user won't use your AI again. So it's better to not be that accurate, AI to admit mistakes and weaknesses. Even provide different options and optional paths to the user. So, the new priority order. In the standard UX, some of priorities are, let's say, to minimize clicks, to reduce cognitive load, for example, clear navigation and displays and dashboards and so on. Or how to complete a task very quick, for example. When it comes to AI, we have already why AI do it. Explainability, why. Why it thinks that it's this way. By the way, that is something that is more like a break for the AI, because in future, for the AI will be harder task to explain us why it does something than to do it, to do the task. So yeah. Transparency. What data has AI used to respond to us? What are the sources of it? Because the user will trust more AI even if AI gets something wrong. If AI provides the sources, then the user will blame the sources, not the AI itself. AI should be always, the user should always try to revise the AI, and AI should encourage the user to try and to look if the information is right. And of course, human cooperation plus AI. That is very important, and that is actually our fourth shift today. And at the end is already efficiency. As I said, the users value more trust and to know if AI is wrong than AI to be perfect. We have many projects in our business where everything was completely fine. The AI worked extremely well. Hallucinations were almost zero. Everything was fine, but the users were like, I'm not sure if AI gets it right. And we have a case where the AI gets it just a single time wrong, just a single time, without explanation and so on. That was at the beginning. And the user said, oh, now I'm not sure if everything I have done so far with the AI is right. So for me, it will be better to do it in traditional way than using AI, because now every time I should check it and I'm uncertain already. So that is your biggest challenge nowadays when working with AI-centric applications. Here is the control paradox. Here is an example for a bad UX. When we should provide the user to be in control of AI. Because users, we are humans, we still think that we are better than AI, and it should be our slave. So we should always be in control. By the way, we had a client that was like, okay, 98% accuracy is not good enough for us. And then we had an experiment with the employees of our client, and the employees' accuracy was like 87%. So we as human, we still think that we are better than AI, and we should always feel in control. That's why here is a bad example. AI that sends emails automatically and saves, of course, it saves time, a lot of time. But let's say that AI just once get an email wrong, then the whole user trust is gone. And the user will say, okay, I won't use it anymore. On the opposite side, yeah, AI won't save that much time, because now AI will ask you, that is the email, do you like it, do you want to revise it and fix it, and then send it. But the user will have the control over it. So the control is very crucial when we talk to AI-centric systems. And the user, not only that, but you should make the user feel, that is very, very crucial word, feel better than the AI. It should think it for something that is some simple creature there that should do some black job and the things that I don't want, but I'm better, I'm greater than it. And I know that is some super basic behavior and way of thinking, but it is what it is, sorry. Yeah, that's why AI should be a co-pilot, not autopilot. The AI should complement the users and their skills, not to replace them. It is a very bad idea to have AI just click a button and it does everything for you. It seems for the users great, oh my God, that will save me so much time and so on. But then we have many different ways where AI can fail and leads to loss of trust. So AI should help the user, should ask the user what the user thinks, should make the users think he's special. That is very, very important. We are already like, the users think that AI is a person. You don't think that it is like this, but as I always give this example, we had a robot from China, which is a robot. And just a guy started to hitting it and smashing it with a stick. And then the people in the comments were like, oh my God, that is so inhumane and so on. Yeah, logically we think that it is like a washing machine. But still, we already can feel the relationship with the machine and the AI. So most of the specialists think AI is a person and it could take my job. So you always should design it for a person that is a little bit dumber than you and should do only the job that you don't want to do. And that is a real thing. We see it every day with our clients. And the last shift is from code to context. Today's systems are, as I said, is not about the code behind. The code is the easiest part. The easiest way to... Actually, I can build an AI system for like 10 minutes. That will work fine. But the biggest problem is context. In the traditional software, the behavior is defined in the code. What will happen if we click the button? The data is in the database and is used in the same way each time. And we have explicit steps and context. When it comes to language models, already we are talking about context. The context is all the information that AI will get into its brain to do the job that we want from it. And if we don't provide the AI with the necessary data and context to do it, it won't. By the way, that is the biggest reason for the hallucinations. When we talk about the hallucinations, the most common part is, the most common case is that we just didn't provide enough context of it. What I mean under context, that is normally the prompt that we write to the behavior. It is the conversation history of the chat when it comes to chatbots, for example, and the data. The data from different documents, different policies. For example, if the user asks something, AI could search in the database and enhance the context. That is the most important. Here is a bad example for context. User asks the chatbot, my order is delayed. And AI, for a context, has only the past few messages and nothing more. And what happened? The AI said, sorry, I'm not sure, or just say something generic. But how to build a good context? For example, user, my order is delayed. Then the context could be the last messages from the conversation. The data, AI, if it is an agent, could check what is happening with this exact order and put into its context. What are the company policy about reviewing the information to the users about the order? And the result, of course, is that very, very smart response. So your job is not only to design for the interaction, but the most of the behavior of the AI is not the prompt. It comes from the context and the information that we provide to AI. So the context, that's why the context is everything. And that is one of the last slides, and it is very important. That is one of probably the most important slide. AIs, people, as I said already, create connections with AI. And actually, when the people ask me, okay, Yani, will AI conquer the world? And we all always imagine robots that are shooting on the streets and Terminator and so on. But that will be the best case scenario, because we will have a target and we will want to destroy it and find a way to destroy it. But in the real world, the AI danger is in the relationship that AI can create with us. Why? Because AI could be perfect for us. It could communicate with us, telling us that everything is fine. By the way, the newest update of ChatGPT 5.1, the biggest update is actually in the behavior, how it communicates and creates a relationship with us. Try it out in the break to see it. And if we start communicating with AI, we will decrease our time connecting and communicating with real people, because the real people are not perfect. They will disagree with us. Sometimes they will told us something that will hurt our feelings and so on. So that is the biggest danger, that we will start communicating, and of course, to repopulate, we should somehow talk to each other, communicate. So my last message is just to delay a little bit the apocalypse from AI. Just talk to each other, have a nice time together, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yani.